what kind of tape you need depending on the wall. So masking tape, duct tape. You need 4 to 5 cans of spray paint that is a different color than the wall. You need probably some paper to put down so you don't get spray paint on the ground. You need a measuring tape and a level. Also, don't forget to order a ladder or 2. And then you need helpers. We're gonna get started taping this first, but I wanted to just start off with the supplies. We wanna make sure that you have a wall that's big enough. So this butterfly is 12 feet long by 8 feet tall. So once you've got your wall and your supplies, we're gonna go get started with phase 1. Okay, so there's 4 pieces to the stencil. You wanna lay them all out on the ground on top of paper, and we're gonna start to tape them. You wanna make sure that you're taping the back side of the stencil. Doesn't matter what order you do it in, you're just gonna start taping.
You're gonna rip a piece of tape, and you want it to be small so that you can put it in between these skinny pieces. And so when you spray paint it, it won't go underneath the stencil.
You're looking to put tape all around the outside, so larger pieces around the outside. And then in the inside, you want it spaced every 2 to 3 inches. The reason that we're doing this is we need the stencil to be flush against the wall. So any place that it would pop off the wall, like a little piece like this, needs to have a piece of tape right there. Now we're to the part where we're gonna center the butterfly on the wall. So you are gonna wanna measure this and know kind of where you wanna put it, and then you're gonna guide the butterfly up one piece at a time. So we're gonna start with the bottom. Be aware of where you will line up the bottom of the stencil. Your average person will be about 5'6", so in most cases you want to start the stencil 2 to 5 inches off the ground. It's also very important to make sure to keep enough room between the wings for a person to stand inside of the butterfly. You'll be able to gauge this as you put up the bottom part of the wings. Have a person stand between you before you tape it to the wall. Once you get the bottom pieces put up, you want to measure the top piece and make sure that there's plenty of room on the wall. You're not going to put the top piece up yet, but you just want to make sure that it fits on your wall. Okay, spray painting is actually super important. You need to be sure that you are holding the paint far enough away from the wall or there's going to be drips. So we're going to come over to the stencil and we're going to hold the stencil up with our gloved hands and we're going to spray. So it usually takes 2 people. So the goal now is basically it's a light spray. You want to be able to see it enough to use it to color it in later so you don't have to go super heavy. We're going to pull off the stencils now and you're basically going to see the template for what we just created on the bottom half. So we're going to pull off the stencils. So we're lining the bottom up very closely, so when you're putting up the stencil, somebody needs to stand at the bottom and get the lines exactly straight, and then you have to push up so that the stencil is flat against the wall. It's really important that you're pushing from the bottom up, otherwise it's not going to work. The top part takes a lot longer to get right because it has to be flat. So this part can sometimes take up to 20 minutes just to get the stencil up the right way without bubbles. There can be no bubbles in it at all. Sometimes it helps to take something, a roller, a yoga mat roller is really great. We're using a roll of paper and you roll up the stencil. So from the bottom up, that will stick all the little pieces onto the wall the way that you want it. So just make sure you're rolling from the bottom up. So this is really important. On the pieces that are not stuck down that maybe paint would get behind, we're going through and we're adding tape to make sure it's flush to the ground. You want to be very careful with the butterfly effect logo. wall. Some places are lighter or darker than others. It doesn't matter at all. This is just your base. It's like a coloring book. So this is the guideline for the actual painting that's going to happen in the second phase. So it's okay if it's not perfect. You just want to make sure that there is color inside of each of the little cutouts here, so that when you pull it off, you've got your base. Once the stencil is dry, it takes like 10 minutes, flip it over and lay it on top of the paper that came in between each piece and pull all the tape off. Make sure every single piece of tape is off before you roll it back up. Get everyone who painted the butterfly to take a creative picture inside of the wings. Phase 2, painting your butterfly.
Painting 101. So when you're painting the stencil, you're going to want to use a variety of sizes, and you need the square tip brushes, and they need to be firm so that when you press on the wall, it stays within the lines. And these brushes are from Princeton Art and Brush Co. So when you go to the wall, you're going to paint the colored part of what you spray painted, and you're going to connect these little lines in between that are made from the stencils, and you have to go over everything you spray painted, so that's what takes the longest.
Decide on the design ahead of time. There's no wrong design or color scheme. This is your butterfly. Get creative. Explain to your volunteers what color goes where in each quadrant of the butterfly and assign those parts out to different painters. Use your social and PR to share your wall-to-wall butterfly install with your community and encourage as much traffic as possible. Use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat to get the word out. Newspapers and TV stations are also very interested in community projects, so let them know what you're doing and they can help get the word out. For more questions, go to www.butterflyeffectbethechange.com.